Hey, bud. Thanks for helping me get to work.
Thank you.
What's up, Matt?
Not much. Just been reading this here book.
Oh, nice.
Hey, bud, mind we listen to some music?
Yeah, no problem.
Well, here's my favorite song right here.
Please.
You know this one?
Introduce myself. My name is Joe. K to the O-V. I see you know your favorite player from the big three. The only mission is to be goatee. The only thing that can stop me is a throat heat.
Look who's calling.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, Peter, it's Ian.
Hey, what's going on, Ian?
Hey, sorry to bother you, but I feel I'm kind of lost. I just got to Atlanta with Joel. I have no idea where I am or kind of what to do.
Well, that's not surprising since you're from Wisconsin. I know all you have out there is cheese, so we'll come pick you up.
It's huge. I've never seen so many buildings before.
Well, we're coming. We're right around the corner.
What is your nearest location?
Oh, thank you.
What are you near
Thank you
to?
so much. I don't know. I'm like in a corner. There's like some people walking on the side. It's sunny out. It's kind of weird.
Do you see any places of business?
He's right there, Matt.
I really appreciate it. You mind if you give us a ride? We're kind of stuck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That would be great.
Appreciate it.
Let me make room for you guys to sit back here.
Is there enough space? It was kind of
you
small
guys.
back there.
It's a little. Unless you want to sit up front too, you know, you could.
Yeah, I'll sit up front. Yeah, why don't you get in the back?
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Matt, get in the back.
Here, Matt, can you take this for me? Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, there you go. I hate that I'm sitting here right now.
This
All right, roll down
this
the
guy?
window, Ian. Roll down the window.
Matt, you're asking, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll skip this way.
Do y'all get those green sticks in there for real?
Hell yeah.
Is it in like a box or something?
Huh?
Is it in like a box or something?
Oh, no, I was just talking shit.
Can we please put that in the video?
I hope that audio actually made it. Good plan.
All right, so I figured we'd bring you here to the world champion Atlanta Braves to finish up
We hadn't noticed.
talking about your book. And, you know, Matt and I actually got you guys a couple of gifts.
Oh, man.
Like you all to,
Oh.
you know,
Wow, look at that.
put on the world champion Braves. And
Amazing.
maybe you guys should, you know, try those hats on for size and see what you think.
Sure.
Very sweet of you.
Good thing it's adjustable. I have a huge noggin.
Yeah.
So you can tell us more about how this book is different than other books out
amazing.
there.
All right.
You know, you got Inner Game of Tennis, you got Winning Ugly.
Yeah, well, I think what we were going for was kind of striking a balance between Inner Game of Tennis. Obviously, is very mental game focused, very emotional, psychological, and there's definitely some of that in Essential Tennis. Whereas Winning Ugly, oh, so close.
You see that? Oh no, I went to first. He was going to
You got to hit the cutoff man, Matt.
I haven't played baseball in a long time.
Maybe you could play with Milwaukee, Matt.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of discredited the hat. Winning Ugly is obviously very practical and like take action. Like there's very specific, you know, tactical things you can do. And we were kind of trying to strike a balance between those two, like the psychological, the emotional, but also very practical, tactical, like things that you can go put into play right away.
I think those other books sort of assume that a player knows how to get better if they want to, and a lot of players want to get better but don't know how, and we really want to address that. Like, what does practice actually look like? What does improvement really mean? And that, you know, those books just don't talk about that. They're both great books, but ours really wanted to address the how can you improve, whether you're with a coach, with a partner, or even on your own.
If I could just read one chapter in the book, what's your favorite one?
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Wow, nobody's asked us that question. I think I know. You're going to say match mind, practice mind, right?
no,
No?
I would say the one on video and where you make the
Okay.
point of
Did you
most
really
players.
mean what you said there
What's
on the
that?
video? Is that what you were getting at?
Well, in the video chapter, you know, we sort of laughingly say that if you have only $20 to spend on tennis, return the book, get your money back, and buy a tripod to film yourself. Do you want to explain why we even mentioned that?
Yeah, well, I think all of us, all four of us, every tennis player has at least a little bit of a gap between what they think they're doing, what we assume like we're doing on the court, and what's actually happening. Like you guys have seen yourselves on video. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between what we hope we look like and what it actually is happening.
Yeah.
So however much of a gap there is between those two realities, basically is to the degree we're going to struggle improving. Because you can go take lessons, watch videos, yada yada, but if you're not focusing on the reality of where you actually have a deficiency, then you'll just kind of keep spinning your wheels. So yeah, I'm actually serious about that. Video is so underutilized in tennis in general. I think there's such a huge opportunity for coaches and players to learn the reality of what's happening, that I would rather people do video.
And I'm now going to say the most important thing.
Should we keep rolling, or is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah,
No,
keep
it's
going,
fun. We're
keep
taking
going.
in all the elements.
It's the full Atlanta experience.
What's the most important thing to you in the book?
Well, I do think.
I'm going to answer the question actually after Joel.
Well, I do think filming, like Ian said, it's the quickest way to improve also, because we have, each of us have a few hundred things we could do, but filming will tell you the first thing to work on.
Yeah.
But I also really love the chapter on expectations, which is the first chapter about Nadal, and that he actually loses 44% of his points. And I think it introduces readers to the idea that no matter how good you are, you're still going to lose almost half the points even on your best day. And just knowing what to expect when you actually go out there.
So my favorite part of the book is actually the conclusion, because I feel like it in terms of like helping players have a bigger perspective and vision for themselves, and having a better North Star in terms of like the direction they're moving, and like why they actually like what's your core motivation to begin with. I talk a little bit about how I walked away from tennis for a while as a player, and that maybe is like, for me, personally, it's the most impactful part of the book, because it kind of puts a bow on all the concepts and all the philosophy of the book into a couple of pages, and it's my favorite part.
So, see, you got like all these buzzwords here. You got an example here. It says, these buzzwords. If your coach uses the following phrases without explaining what's behind them or offering various ways to communicate a problem or solution, you're not getting the best lesson you can. It's like, stay down with the shot, turn the doorknob on the getting ready for your forehand, hit over the top of the ball, that kind of stuff. So basically the book, it's more like, not, I'm going to go, you said you want a North Star, so an example would be like, I'm not going to go work on my backhand because I need a better backhand, but it's like, I'm going to work on a backhand because I know these guys that I'm playing are targeting this backhand constantly, or I know my game is one at the net, and the only way I'm going to be able to get in the net more is to be able to hit a better approach shot at the back. You know what I mean? Is that what you're going for, basically? It's like a purpose behind everything we're trying to improve here?
Yeah, I guess, and to be clear, I don't necessarily have a problem with any of those phrases on their own. It's that when they're used with an underlying assumption that the student is automatically going to just have this huge light bulb go off, and all these like dots are going to get connected, and the world is going to like open up to them just because you said turn the doorknob. Sometimes that happens. You guys, as a coach, occasionally when you use an illustration or a comparison, or like you draw a correlation between tennis and like something else, sometimes the student's like, oh, like that, and there's an automatic like thing that happens. For all the students that it doesn't happen, if all you have is to go back to the low to high, brush the ball like over and over and over again, and that's all, the only teaching tool that you have at your disposal, the student doesn't necessarily automatically incorporate that into their game and have like an epiphany. So I guess like the North Star thing for me is just giving the student, arming them with like the why, and the underlying like foundational, fundamental reason why they're doing what they're doing, and not just like a surface level, like it feels like this or it's kind of like that. But my passion as a coach is to arm students with like the good shot. Arm students with the deeper understanding, so that I'm not just giving them a fish, I'm teaching them how to fish, so that they can diagnose and leave the court and keep having a deeper understanding and help themselves instead of just needing to come back and needing that quick, surface level fix.
I love how you guys started with the thing with Rafa. Was that guy a real guy?
Oh, Craig O'Shaughnessy? Oh, the student.
No, the student that said, you basically, anyone who hasn't read the book, Ian said, well, tell me what you envision as being a great tennis player, Serge. He's like, Ian, I'm going to pay you, money's not an object, I'll pay anything for you to help me with my game, something like that, right?
He said, I want to win every point.
I want to win every point is how he
And he couldn't believe that he was losing some points.
Ian helped.
Yeah, his name's not Dan, but it is a real, taken from a real experience I had with a student. I think it's so important that people have a realistic perspective of what good tennis means making a lot of mistakes.
And you went straight to Rafa, the most dominant example we could use at the French.
Dominant, right, yeah, exactly.
And how much does he lose? What was the stat again?
Well, he wins, in this period that Craig, who's a statistician, studied, he won 59 out of 60 matches, which sounds incredible. But when you keep breaking it down, he won 56% of the points, which means he lost 44%.
Right.
If he'd won, I think if he'd lost 7% more, he would have lost, so...
He would have no French Opens if he lost 6% more points.
So even the greatest of all time on the surface he's best at was not as dominant as we think. And that's the expectation students need to have.
Yeah. So that's got to be tough for that guy to hear. You're going to lose half the points when you're doing well.
But if you can't hear it and you can't accept it and have a realistic view, then you're just going to be unhappy all the time.
Yeah.
Like if every time you lose 25% of your points, you're like, all you can think about is how you should have done better. You should have been more relaxed.
That would be a great day, by the way.
Oh yeah, right. 25% is like an 0-0 match. If you win 75% of the points, it's a double bagel match. If you fixate on the 25, then A, you're missing the whole point, the reality of the sport, and B, you're just going to be unhappy every single time you play.
But there's a fine line, though, right? I mean, how can you tell in a match you're making the acceptable amount of mistakes?
It's a great question.
Like you're making too many mistakes, and the reason why you're losing the match or about to lose is you got to tighten up your game and bring in your margins. How do you know when, like, well, I'm losing half the points anyway, so things are going fine, or like I'm digging a hole here because I'm not putting the ball in play?
Yeah, really good question. And first of all, I'd like to point out that you can be, all you have to do is make a few less mistakes than your opponent to win a match. So I think being very self-focused on like, oh man, I'm missing all these backhands, my overheads, going in on that and all that. I think it's, to your point, it's very important to be aware of what is happening and why and when. But if the goal is to win the match, all you have to do is make a few less mistakes than your opponent. So to kind of flip that a little bit, if instead you're saying to yourself, well, if I go to the net 10 times, yeah, I'm missing 3 overheads, but they're putting 5 backhands in the net. If all you're focusing on was the 3 overheads, then you're missing the fact that you're like way coming out ahead in the 10 times that you're going up to the net. So I think the critical part in practice is balancing it out with the reality of the flow of the match. Like, yeah, I'm making these mistakes, but what's happening over there? If you lose sight of that, then you can miss like the keys to actually winning. So there's no magical, like to answer your question, there's no magical like, well, Pete, if 47% of the shots you hit are unforced errors, then you have to shift to plan B and hit everything down the line. Like, it's not that simple. It's not in a vacuum. Like, you have to compare it relative to what's happening on the other side.
I think good players also know, they're aware of the kind of mistakes they're making, and if you're constantly hitting the net cord, that's not just, well, part of the 44% I should be losing. I think that's alluding to what you said, like, okay, I need a little more clearance, I need to adjust my game a little bit.
And we're gonna get the full ambiance here. We got the crack of the bat, and
we're in the outfield of the stadium, by the way. There's a major league ball game going on.
Okay, so you guys got these diagrams in the book. Can you talk a little bit about that? What's the significance? How it's gonna help people?
A map of the tennis court.
Yeah, why on earth did you put a map of the tennis court in there?
Well, once you kind of dig into the stats in there, and we have another chart showing the amount of errors, unforced errors, forced errors, and winners from Wimbledon a couple years ago. Was it 2019? I think.
It was recent.
And so
that was a good Wimbledon.
Was it? Oh, is that the better
Djokovic
semifinal?
No, 2019. Oh yeah. That was a good win. That should be fun. I was thinking about the final.
No, I don't know.
That wasn't as good at the end.
Federer must have lost.
Yeah, and 5.
Crap.
He had 2 match points, right?
Match points on
brutal.
serve, 40-15.
So we break down from the whole tournament that year, the unforced errors, forced errors, and winners, just to do an analysis of how the points on the fastest surface, where we're studying the players like the biggest weapons, most elite talent, of all time, and the number of errors that are actually happening, it's like 2/3 of the points are ending either with an unforced error. Was it 33%, I think, where it was unforced error?
At least.
Player, elite, world-class player, totally imbalanced, in control, just missed the shot. And so the reason why we include stats like that and then like the diagram of the court is to start becoming more familiar with what is a relatively safe shot, what is a relatively risky shot. If you can be more self-aware of those selections and choose your targets more purposeful, with keeping in mind, like, here's how often most points end with an error, like, period. Whether it's forced or unforced, most points end with somebody making a mistake. So if you can be mindful of the geometry of the court and be conscious of picking targets that increase the likelihood of you just putting the ball in the court, like, automatically you're going to put yourself in an advantage compared to just hitting random shots and like hoping you're going to win, which is a lot of tactics for tennis players.
And I think also the map of the tennis court, just to remind players, the net is literally 6 inches higher at the sides than it is in the middle. So you have more room.
Really?
You learn
6?
something new every day.
I didn't know it was 6
how wide is the doubles alley?
Probably 2.5 feet.
It's 4 feet.
4.5.
4.5 feet. I know it's an optical illusion, but it's
You're talking both of them put together?
no. Any doubles
That's 4.5
alley.
feet.
4.5 feet.
Yeah.
We'll have you lay
I
down
might have
the
been
court
wrong about
early.
the size of a lot of things. Jeez.
And on that note,
Well, tell us about when the book is actually coming out, where people can get it, and all that kind of good stuff.
It's coming out May 31st. Everywhere books are sold. And hardcover, paperback, audiobook. If you're into Audible, Kindle. I read the audiobook, by
what
the
was
way.
that like? I'm curious.
It was a grind.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
It's brutal,
Yeah,
right?
it was 3 days in a row, 4 hours of narrating.
Yeah.
So 12 hours of narrating, cut down to about 7 hours, I think, is the final runtime. But it'll be Barnes & Noble, wherever you get books, you can.
If we can do any links for this book, it'll be below the video.
If you go to essentialtennis.com/book, it'll take you to the bonuses.
Yep.
But that's only until May 31st.
Well, we are so thrilled you came out here with us, and we're going to head to the court and do some more
Awesome.
fun stuff.
Awesome. Thank you guys for hosting.
yeah, we're big fans of your channel, so thank you.
Go Brewers.